So, welcome to Knitting Keeps Me Sane, and I am Dr. Sane Knitter. So, it's been a little while since I last recorded, and so a lot has been going on since then, and a lot of knitting and a lot of personal stuff. I will do the personal stuff at the end, but it's been a hectic time. So, along with just wanting to catch you up on the knitting that I've done since I last podcast, I have some catch-up knitting from the previous episode to the previous episode. I'm so far behind. Who cares? So this time I'm going to show you the things that I've completed that are sweaters or a blanket project I completed that I just finished blocking yesterday, and it's going to be going out to its recipient tomorrow. So I wanted to just get on here and get it recorded, otherwise I was totally going to forget. So this blanket, it's a little lap blanket that I've knit for a friend of mine, a little sort of a comfort hug that I want to be able to give her since I can't see her in person and give her hugs in person. She is very Irish, she is a big Notre Dame fan, and so I wanted something very Irish, very Celtic for her. So I took some of the patterns from the Celtic blanket number 3 I actually have all 4 patterns, but it's by Luise O'Neill, a Celtic Quilt 3, and I've chosen 4 of the blocks from that collection of 10. And so officially I did blocks 1, 8, 9, and 10. And then of course the border, and I did these in greens. So you can see here, this is one of the blocks. And here's another block. Here, let me back up, babe. And then here's another block. Other block. So it's a 2x2 blanket, and in Cascade 220 worsted. My little helper today. And it was left over from other projects I had done, and I have lots and lots of these of Cascade 220 left over from sweaters that I had done, blankets that I had done, and they're really nice colors because green goes with just about everything. And being Irish, I thought she would appreciate it. And I think it turned out beautifully, and I'm really excited to send it off to her. So, yay! That'll go in the mail to her tomorrow. So, now, I'm going to start off with sweaters that I finished since the podcast a year ago, and then the sweaters that I have done since then. All of them adult sweaters, and I love all of them. I wear them a lot. They're good staples for my wardrobe, which is part of what I've been aiming for with my knitting, is to be able to use it to actually create wearable garments rather than special pieces or casual pieces. I wanted things that were, in between. They're the everyday wear, but that I can dress it up or dress it down, but that becomes staples, wardrobe staples. So let's start with this one. So this is the Anker's tee, and I wear this quite a bit. And let me just show you what that looks like. So this is my Anker's cardigan, not cardigan, tee, Anker's tee. Let me step back a little more. And it's in a pretty sort of teal color, Elspeth Lavel's silky wool. And this had started out as another sweater that didn't work out. And so I decided that I would try this, since everybody and their mother and brother and cousin, sisters, brothers, cousins, nephews, uncles, former roommate, did these, and it just looks so classic, and I had to try it, and I love it, and I probably will make something else, but more for this one here, probably. Is that right? Yeah. So that is the Anker's tee, and I really like it. I wear it a lot, and it's because it's a silky wool, it's sort of a good mid-weight sweater, good for spring and fall, and I usually just wear it as its own sweater, but sometimes I'll wear it on over something that's long sleeve just as an added layer, and it's still very warm. So it's nice. I like it. My helper. He's a little bit blown out by the light behind him, but that's my baby. Say hi. Hi. He says no. Okay. Next one. Now there's this one, and this is not something I would typically wear with jeans and a t-shirt like I am right now. Typically I'll wear it over a sweater, where it being cropped is good, because then you have sort of the shaping for the dress to flare out, and then pockets that I have in my sweaters. So this is the summer Sorrel, and I used Skeincocaine, her cashmere blend, and it was the Skeincocaine special colorway. It was, let me look. It was the special. The Cash Luxe special. And so it's really kind of crazy looking. So I was a little worried that all the heavy variegation would obscure the pattern with these elongated stitches, and it really doesn't. It's you can see it's a little fuzzy because I really wear it quite a bit. So you can see it really doesn't obscure the pattern at all. Here you've got the reverse stockinette and these lovely elongated stitches. And I get comments on this all the time. Every time, you know, I wear it, not every time, but most of the time, probably at least 75% of the time that I wear this, somebody comments on, oh wow, that's beautiful, and so that makes me feel good. And so this is just a really beautiful sweater. It's pretty versatile. I can, it helps me to wear my dresses that I like to wear year round, instead of trying to put on, you know, a heavier sweater. It's just that little bit of a light layer that I need in the winter. And so this has gotten a lot of wear already. Now, the Summer Sorrel. I liked this pattern, but these stitches were so annoying, but worth the effort. So my basic review of this is just, it's not potato chip knitting by any stretch of the imagination, but it's easy enough that you can just sort of follow along with some of the increases. You don't have to keep the directions necessarily at hand. Like, you can read ahead and know what you're doing for the next little bit, rather than having to check the pattern every row. So in that way it was not super complicated, but these elongated stitches, they get kind of fiddly, which when I was in the mood for fiddly was super amazing. When I was trying to unwind, not so amazing. But the end was absolutely worth it. Okay, so then here is another cropped one, but not quite so cropped. I will sometimes wear this with just like a little lace tee underneath it instead of a cotton tee like I have on today. But typically this is something that I wear with my dresses. And so the top color looks a little blown out. Let's see. I hope you can see the candy colors in here. This is Mustache Yarns Easter colorway that she released last year. And then this pretty brown color is Mandi's Makings brown Chickory, I believe it was. And I know that I had this on the podcast at least once when it was a work in progress. And the self-striping knit side to side after you have and you knit it after you have knit the body, and you're sort of picking up stitches and knitting it together here to create this pretty boat neck. And so this sweater, it was designed by a lady whose patterns I knit a lot. So her name is Stephanie Lotven. It's from her book, Knit Happy with Self-Striping Yarn, Bright, Fun, and Colorful Sweaters and Accessories Made Easy. And so this is the second pattern that I've knit from that book. I also knit a baby sweater that I had shown previously. And this one is called Bright Axis. And I love this. I might have to make another one. Because it's a nice, easy knit. Something that you just keep going knitting, not vanilla, but not something you need to look at the pattern too much beyond where you have a few little changes here. And I loved it. This was really nice. It kept me interested without being taxing, and it was just overall a really fun knit. And when I knit it again, I'm probably going to knit it just a little bit longer. Probably going to knit it about down to here, to just wear, to make it more of an everyday sweater with like pants. And so again, I really like this. You can see the colors there. Now, this sweater came about because I saw some really beautiful yarns that were on sale from Sweet Georgia, and I was just in the mood for a bulky, warm winter sweater that was a bit heavier to keep me warm. Again, it's short sleeves because in the winter I'm typically wearing long sleeves, so I actually like the shorter sleeves to keep the upper portion of my arms warm, but without getting in the way of where I need to do chores or other things that I'm doing. Yes. And so this is actually, full length to wear with pants. Hey, baby, what are you doing? To wear with pants. But I have worn it with my dresses. It's just a little bit longer, so I have to remember to lift it up. So I did a fade, and I sort of, it's the Flax sweat pullover here. You can see the garter stitch ridges here. And I did a fade with you. Stop that. With a couple of different colors. So I had a green, blue, down to a purple. Now I had another color that I was thinking of doing and adding to the bottom because I thought that I would need more of the yarn, but ended up, because I only did the short sleeves, I didn't actually need that extra skein. If I had gone to long sleeves, I probably would have needed that extra skein, but then my portions would have been, the striping would have been shorter, and I actually just preferred these colors. So I'm actually really happy that that it ended up the way it did. And I've worn this quite a bit. It's the Sweet Georgia Yarns Superwash Worsted. So I've got Out of the Woods, Torrent, which is the blue-green, Spacewalk, which is a blue-purple, and then Stargazers, which is the purple. And I love it. And I actually really like how squishy this yarn is. It's just really very cozy. What are you doing? Okay. Onward to the next sweater. Alright, so then there's this sweater, which is, I think they call it the Advent 2020 sweater. It's a boat neck with the dolman sleeves. And I wear this with pants and a little lace tee underneath. I don't typically wear it so much with dresses just because it's a little bit longer, but this is the Advent from Norah George 2021. 2021. And so that's the front in the first 12 days, and then here's the back in the second 12 days. And then I've done the ribbing, the neckline, and the little inset portion here in the coordinating colorway for the Advent. And I do wear, it is reversible, completely reversible. I did some modifications. The original pattern, the Advent 2020 sweater, originally had short row shaping to lower it in the back. I did not do this. And it also had the little garter here in the little garter portion here in a coordinating colorway that they used for the cuffs and the collars and things, and then in between each row. I didn't do that. I just incorporated that into the next stripe, so that it started and ended sort of as its own ridge. And I think that really worked best for the fact that these colors are designed to go one into another, and I just like the look of it better. So when I had started it, I had originally done it with the striping, with the little dividing color, and had to pull it back, and then ended up redoing that, and it worked out really well. I'm really glad that I did. And so that pattern was designed by Heleen's Knithouse, and I am absolutely going to make this again. Although I think I'm probably going to add an extra row or two in each of the stripes, just to make it just a little bit longer. Because it would be nice, I think, if the whole sweater were just a little bit longer. I'd like it down about here, so if I just sort of do about a row each. I mean, I could just make the bottom a little longer, I suppose, and maybe I'll do that. But I can see that for my next Advent calendar, I'm probably going to use this same pattern again. And I get a lot of I get a lot of comments about this sweater. Oh, it's beautiful. Thank you. I did it myself. Hi. Aw. Nose kisses. Yes. Hi, baby. All right. So I have one last sweater to show you. I'll be right back. You like this one? Mm-hmm. Yeah? I like it too. So this one is, here, can I scoot? Can I scoot? Mm-hmm. Let's scoot. Okay. So this one is the Cumulus blouse, and I knit it holding the Rowan Kidsilk Haze double. And so the Cumulus blouse by Petite Knit, and the color that I used for this is called Laguna. And I'd had this Laguna in my stash for, I got it just before he was born, so 2.5 years. Very handsome. So, and I saw a version of this where it was knit with 2 strands of the mohair, and it was just so light and airy, and I thought, okay, I have to try this. This is just, it was, after doing the heavier sweaters and the really fine, the really nice thin fingering, I needed something on big needles. I had also knit 2 scarves that were on fingering and circular knitting, and so it was just go, 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 change color, go, 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 change color. Very vanilla, very potato chip. And for a while you got a sticker on your arm. The color changes for a while was enough to keep me entertained, but after a while I just needed something that would go a little bit faster. So this on big needles went really fast, and I loved it. Let me see, I started it, well, it still took me just over a month to knit, but that's also including that we had life stuff going on that I wasn't necessarily as able to knit as much as I'd like. But this is something that I wear, okay, just with jeans, usually with a little cami underneath, or just by itself. And it is super, super warm. Super warm. There's not really a ridge there. I guess it's just from how it was folded. It's weird. But it's just it's a really pretty blue. But that mohair is warm. So this is not something I will be wearing in late spring or summer at all. Unless there's a heavy breeze. Then maybe. So yes, this is a really nice sweater, and honestly I could see myself making another sweater using mohair held double, or mohair held with a fingering or something. I could totally see that. So I finished this, and then I cast on the blanket, and I found that I hurt myself knitting the, okay, sorry for the interruption. So as I was saying, knitting that mohair sweater, but also even before that, knitting the worsted weight sweater, and then the mohair sweater, and then the worsted weight blanket, lapgan. I'm using large needles, 6, 7, 8, US 6, 7, and 8, and it really does hurt my hands, and I've ended up really hurting myself. The muscles in my shoulders and along the shoulder blades are just cramped up really badly. So I think it's okay for one project, but then I really need to give myself a good break between projects before doing something on large needles again, or to adjust how I knit. And this has actually been a consistent problem for me, that the larger the needles, the harder it is on my hands, because my movements here are larger, and I start doing this. So I had practiced lever knitting forever ago, and I really liked that, but because it was sort of unfamiliar, I sort of abandoned it for the practiced speed of the continental knitting. But I think what I'm sort of going to just do is do lever knitting for anything on size 6 or above, and just do my normal continental knitting on anything less than that. And doing this, because I've got actually a bunch of other projects that I want to do that are based on DK and higher, or looser gauge, even with a fingering weight, and I don't want to be unable to knit those projects, but I also am not going to risk harming myself. So that sort of leads into my works in progress. So here are my whips. He thinks I'm funny. I left my knits over there. Be right back. Yeah. Okay, so technically right now I have 2 active works in progress, 4 passive works in progress. Those are blankets that I'm working on, adding in scraps as I go. Well, not really as I go, but like as I feel like working on them. Including my sock yarn blanket, where I'm using the Rowan yarns subscription, and I'm not able to do them every month, but I try, and I have plans for all these leftover yarns. In fact, at some point I need to go through all of my yarns. Charmer over here. And separate them into the colors that I want, and I'm going to do a sea glass tea. But so that is, planned work and but otherwise these yarns are all going into 2 fingering weight blankets and a DK blanket and a worsted blanket. So aside from those passive works in progress, I have a pair of socks that I actually started back in the fall but put down for other projects. And this is just a vanilla sock. And I have mustache yarn. The colorway is what? Oh my goodness. My ball band. My ball band is missing. Okay, I have it over here. I call it Autumn Comfort Socks because I love autumn. And so autumn is my favorite time of year. Spring is my second favorite. And then winter and summer are tied for third. But this mustache yarn must match sock campfire. And as you guys know, I love mustache yarn. Fabulous. Anyway, so this is the first sock, and working on DPNs. These are rubbed off. These are US ones, so I can just knit all day on this and it doesn't hurt at all. And the contrast color for the cuff and the heel and toe is basically the leftover Mandi's Makings, that beautiful green. So as you can see here, it really goes perfectly with the brown that's already in the campfire. It's just slightly darker. And these are fabulous. Love them. I cannot wait to finish them. Now I do have a ton of other socks that I finished with the summer sock camp last year and a little bit before then, and with some vacation knitting that we did. And I anticipate doing that again. So I have some sock sets that I had bought last year, and again, I'm trying not to buy from buy anything. But as I mentioned last time, I did buy a few things, and I haven't bought anything since then. So since February, I have not bought any yarn. So yay me. So that's that sock. I'm on the first sock of that. And then the other project, and one that I am going to have to work on slowly, and use lever knitting to do, is the Rocket Tee. And this is one of those that I had yarn in stash. This color I'd had in stash. I'll get the color in a minute. And then I had bought this mohair to go with it. Let's see. There we go. Will that focus? So you can see here. And so I do have it on 2 long DPNs, and I'm about to join to work in the round. And but I'm doing 2 at a time, not 2 at a time. I'm using US 6s. How in the world did that translate as 2 at a time of anything? My brain is distracted. So the color is, when I had bought the yarn last year for that Sweet Georgia sale, I had also bought this color, Rainbow Sprinkles. And that's what this is. This is the Tough Love Sock Rainbow Sprinkles, and I adore it. So, and then the mohair is Rowan Kidsilk Haze. The color, okay, I thought it had a color name like burgundy or some such thing, but apparently that's only on the website. I have to look up what it is, but anyway, so I'm working on that, and as you can see, the it's got 1 strand for the Kidsilk Haze stripe and 1 strand of the fingering stripe, and so it does end up being somewhat transparent, but because it's kind of hazy, it's really not that bad. It's really not that see-through. Like, okay, fine, you can see here, and so I'll have to, you know, make sure to wear a little cami or something underneath it. Nobody needs any shocks. But it should be a nice, hopefully a nice summery, springy t-shirt to wear with pants. So let's see. Other than that, I do have another work in progress, but it's been put aside for right now. I have another palette cardigan, which, let me show you. The palette cardigan is by Lisa K. Ross, and where is it? There it is. I named it Palette Cardi Part 2. So it's the sweater here. I'll show you. So this is the cardigan, and you can see it's got the stripes down here. The version that I had done years ago I had done a sort of a dark gray, not dark gray, a light gray. Coffee. Let's see if that helps. It had been in a light gray with a yellow, a green, a blue stripe on it. Here, I'm coming. It's coming. Whoopsie, I passed it. There it is. So I had knit this as a test of that pattern, and some of the yarn was actually their black trillium, and the version that I'm doing now is also black trillium, but in their worsted, and the version that I originally did was in DK. So again, we're talking size 6 and 7 needles, and I'm going to have to use the long DPNs, and I'll get my mockin out so that I can wear the mockin is a knitting belt, and so that I can use that and just brace that against my hip instead of it being under my arm. And I can do it under my arm, but I do like wearing the mockin to have it there. But so I had a red, a yellow, a green, and a blue stripe, and you can see this is back when I was pregnant with Lily. We're just gonna do this. So this is me. That was not long before I delivered. She's a big baby. So that was, let me see. Yeah, so I finished that and modeled that. Well, I guess it was a little bit before she was born. She was big. I was big. So that photo then was from November, and she was born 2 months later. And so that was me 7 months pregnant. Oh, y'all, she was 9'2". That was a big baby. And I am not tall, so there is nowhere for the baby to go but out. Anyway, so, and this sweater I have worn extensively. So here's sort of an unflattering blocking photo. All right, anyway. Nice glare there. And I still wear that a lot, and it's still in really good shape, and it is an absolute staple in my wardrobe. And people steal it from me all the time. My mom steals it from me. Now my oldest daughter steals it from me. No, it's mine. So I'm doing another version of it. I only have part of the yoke done to about here, and it's in a, I'll just get it. Okay, so I've apparently misplaced the sweater itself, but I have the other yarn that I'm using on it. Okay, so the yarn I'm using is Black Trillium Super Happy Fun. And this is what it looks like. And it's absolutely fun, okay? It was very accurately named. And the colors that I'm using, now, hey baby, okay. So Black Trillium no longer dyes, which again, still bitter about because my knitting needs, you know, are not being met. I'm having to find new dyers now. I know. I mean, I'm happy for her. What? No! No. I mean, I'm happy for her to have, you know, moved on and is doing things with her life that, you know, are better suited to her now. Very happy for her. Still bitter for me. She has such an amazing color eye that that I'm still a little bitter, but that has forced me out to find new yarn dyers, and I have found some good ones. Is that glare on you? Okay, so one of the yarn dyers that I found is Ravenswood Fiber Co. And so this one is called Night Storm. It's a little more purple than it's showing up here, but it's a nice dark color there. So that's one. Hey baby! Then this one is called Paprika, and that's actually showing up pretty good. You like that? Is that nice? And that's another color there. Then there's this one, which is called Fundy Sunday. And it's just a brilliant sunny yellow. Yes, you. And then the other color. Where'd it go? The other color is missing. It's a pretty blue. And so these are the colors. If I can find the blue wherever I put it. It's probably in the bag wherever the other yarn is. But these are the yarns that I'm going to be using for that cardigan. And you took off with it. Okay, hang on. You did. All right. So, actually, I don't know where he took off with it, but it's not blue, it's green. It's a pretty limey green. So with the two bright colors and the two more sort of muted or intense colors, will sort of balance out those stripes there, I think. And I'm really looking forward to knitting that because that'll be a really nice, heavier layer for the fall and winter, and I'm really looking forward to that. So two active works in progress, four passive works in progress, and one sort of third level work in progress. So that's all I have for knitting content. I haven't bought any yarn, so I've been a good girl. So beyond that, thank you for joining me. If you're not interested in the family life stuff, then I'll see you another time. And if you are interested, so we found out at the end of February, so just after the last podcast, that a house that we own in another part of the country where we went to graduate school, we had been renting it out, and that most recent tenant had decided to leave. She had been there like 7 years, and so she was going to move out. And we decided this was a perfect time then to do any repairs, any updates that are needed, and sell that house. Because when we had moved out of grad school to come out here to Washington, we, that was in 2011, and the housing market was crap. And we still owed, we didn't owe that much less than it was worth, and when you counted in closing costs and things, we would have had to pay to sell the house. And the mortgage was so low that we just decided, okay, let's just rent it out, and when the market looks up, we'll sell it then. And we had a bunch of drama with our first tenant, and I ended up having to pay a lot to do some massive repairs to the damage that first tenant had done. First tenant was a violent couple. He was violent, and so there was a lot of damage. And when I came back to look at the house, there was blood on the walls. Like it was bad. It was bad. They never did end up, and I didn't pursue a judgment against them or anything. I just wanted to move on. And we had then two good tenants for multiple years each, and then this tenant, which we had never had any complaints about. And the management company said that she was, maintaining the house and the yard, and that she was keeping salt in the water softener and changing the water filter and things like that, which was apparently not true. I went to take possession of the home last month. Oh my God, I cried. It was bad. It was really bad. Unlike the first tenant, the doors were not off the frames, and the frames weren't knocked off of the house, thankfully. So I was able to lock up the house. But there were some things about it, like she had never added salt to the water softener and had never changed the sediment filter for the water. So there was a lot of damage from that, and it was pretty clear that she never really, probably ever really cleaned the bathroom. There are some other very unsavory things that clearly were going on in that home, and I just don't even want to get into it, but it was really disconcerting and rather dismaying. And I had gone there having been told that the house was in good shape and that it just needed cosmetic repairs, which I have done a ton of. I have done cosmetic out the wazoo, and even light construction, and that was not, that didn't put me off. Like I'm like, okay, let's fix it up. We'll sell it. It'll be good. Before we sell it, we're gonna need a new roof. Like we knew that was coming, and I figured that would be the worst of it. But I got there with my 3 oldest children, figuring we'll get in there. I'll show them how to do a lot of these home repair things, and I could not even keep my children in that house one day. It was completely, unsanitary. There was a dead mouse laying on the floor. There were piles of things. It had not been emptied out. I needed to get a hauler in there. Needed to get, there was so much dust coming out of the HVAC system, and my oldest son has asthma, and I just did not feel good with that. So found out why there was all that dust in the HVAC system is that the tenant had removed from the venting the dryer vent, and had actually blocked off the venting of the dryer from the window because it went out through a window. It has the fixture there. It's all to code. But she had removed that and blocked that off, and the dryer was venting into the house, and the furnace is next to it, and so that air was being pulled into the furnace and up into the house through the HVAC system. And so all of that laundry dust had been going up there, and so we had to get that done. And while we were there, and I was trying to coordinate different repair people, like the windows and the floors, and trying to get the haulers. There was a broken window. The garage had been left to rot, and some of the doors had rotted, and there were leaks in the garage that had never been reported, and so some other like heavy lifting things that I was not prepared to do in a house that did not have a working bathroom. I could not. That was not sustainable for my children. So I stayed there as long as was necessary to get a general contractor lined up, a realtor lined up, and the roofer lined up, and a hauler, a lawn care. Those people were coordinated by the realtor after we had found the general contractor and the roofer. So I then returned home with my children, pretty upset that things were not as we had been told. I was pretty angry about that. So I had been working on that for about a month before I came home, and so now it's just a matter of throwing money at the situation and waiting for it to resolve. So that took a lot of time and energy and phone calls and all that sort of thing, and talks with the management company, and a lot of haggling back and forth. So that took a lot of my time and energy away from schooling and knitting and stuff like that. So that's the big thing that's been going on for us. But I'm home now. We're working on getting our garden going. We've ordered some apple trees, some cherry trees, and we had bought the lot next door to us that had been sitting empty for 20, 30, 40 years. And there's an area there that's really good for a little orchard, and we just ordered the trees to put there. It took a while to sort of find a good deal, find the variety that we wanted, and we've actually just sort of gone for trees that have multiple types growing on it so that we have just a wide variety, and they're self-pollinating that way. Both the apple trees and the cherry trees. So I'm really excited about that. We just planted some stuff yesterday in the garden, and we're going to start work on a duck shelter and a pen to have ducks next spring. Yeah, and so we're working on the homesteady stuff, trying to expand what we do and trying to get the children involved and teaching them. And in fact, my oldest has the task of working out and sort of an automatic watering system for the garden, irrigation system, so that he can just sort of hook it up and have that work. So we're working on all of that. We finished building the play structure for the kids, and so I keep sending them out there to play on that and just enjoying our warmer weather here and all the green leaves that are growing, and just enjoying that. The other thing that we did one other thing. My daughters and I went on a trip to California for my mother-in-law's 70th birthday, and so we had a really good time, and the girls were really happy to get to spend some bonding time with their girl cousins. It was just a girls-only vacation, and we had a really good time. And that was before the debacle of traveling to see the house. So we got that relaxation in before the drama. Oh, and the flight drama. So on the return flight from California for just that weekend trip, they canceled our flights, and then I call them up and I'm like, I need to reschedule, and the woman tried to tell me that my flights weren't canceled. And I'm like, I've got a confirmation email, I have a confirmation through the app, and I have confirmation on your website that it is in fact canceled. So she said, oh yes, I see that. Would you like me to book you for the next available flight? I'm like, yes. So she booked me for the same flight. And I questioned her on that. I said, are you sure that this is not the same flight? She says, no, it's a duplicate flight. They've replaced it with this flight. Okay, I don't know how airlines work. Sounded a little fishy, but she assured me that this was the case. And rebooked for there with added fees, only to get a confirmation email 10 minutes later. Nope, that's the canceled flight. And so I tried calling back and I got no response, and I've gotten no response from them since then. So we had to buy flights at the last minute in order to get home. I was not happy. Then, in the trip to see the house, I booked flights to come home once I knew that we were safe to come home, and I had to get them, a day early. So then we get to the airport, and I go to check in, and everything on the app for me had seemed fine. Everything was ready to go. All we needed to do was check in. Well, then they're saying that I couldn't check in, but to see the customer service desk. So I went to the customer service desk. They haven't released your tickets. Okay. They're like, you need to call them directly to get them to release your tickets, and then we can issue your boarding pass. I call them, the Travelocity. They suck. This is the third time I've been screwed over through Travelocity. Will not be booking anything with them directly ever again. Very costly mistakes. The first time I thought it was just an error. The second time I was really ticked. The third time, we're done. I thought, the second time I just thought it was it was my fault. I should have paid better attention. Third time, no. They royally, it's definitely... So I called them, and they're like, oh, we... They're like, no, you canceled your flights. I was like, no, I didn't. They're like, yes, on our end, we see that you, through the app at 7:08 p.m., canceled your flights. At 7:08 p.m., I was scrubbing a tub with iron out and breathing in terrible fumes, and my phone was in my purse in the car. So, no, I didn't. So they're like, oh, well, it says system error or user canceled. I said, well, I didn't cancel anything. So they're like, well, you can look and find yourself another fare, and the funds that you paid for this fare should arrive back in your account within the next 72 hours. You take my money, you cancel without any warning. Like, they didn't tell me beforehand that anything was canceled. I'm at the airport before I find out that anything's been canceled. And now you want me to use you to buy more tickets? No. So I went to the airline, and I got the same price that I had been charged through this other vendor, even though it was 2 hours before the flight. So thank goodness we were able to still get home on the same flights that we had been booked to take, but we're not ever going to fly using Travelocity to schedule anything. I'm just going to pick an airline, and we're going to fly with that one airline, and we'll do like that. We never fly, which is why you just use Travelocity, because whatever. But we're not doing that anymore, and so twice before flying home, I was left stranded with my children in the airport. So, anyway, so that's been our lives, and we're really glad to be home. We're really glad to get to stay home for the foreseeable future, and working on the homestead, working on the schooling, working on the knitting. You working on your knitting? Come here. Are you working on your knitting? Should we work on yours today? Okay. You want to say anything?
Yeah.
What do you want to say?
I don't know. I just want to say that Anker is awake. And he's staring at me. Staring at my soul when I'm scared.
He's staring at your soul and you're scared. Well, there you have it, folks. The children are staring at each other's souls and they're scared. I'm going to send them outside to play. Thank you, and good night.